Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling when you're trying to get something done, but you feel like you're your own worst enemy? Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful framework. It's based on some ancient wisdom, but you'll see it's incredibly relevant to why that happens, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with a question that really gets to the heart of it. We are so good at blaming things, right? The traffic, our boss, the slow internet. But what if the biggest things holding you back aren't out there at all, but are actually right here inside your own head? The ancient texts that talk about this use this just chillingly accurate phrase. They call these obstacles states that weaken wisdom. And I want you to just think about that for a second. These aren't just minor distractions we're talking about. These are forces that are actively sabotaging your ability to think clearly and to act effectively. So what are these encumbrances of the mind? Well, they're formally known as the five hindrances. Think of them as these specific mental states that just create a fog over our thinking, stopping us from getting where we want to go. And here's the thing, they're universal. They affect everybody, whether you're a Zen master on a mountaintop or just trying to get through a Monday morning meeting. So let's really nail down the definition here. The source material calls them unwholesome mental states. Basically, they're the five main culprits that generate all that mental fog, and they work directly against our ability to focus and to see things with any kind of clarity. All right, it is time to meet the key players. Let's put a name to these five hindrances, because you really can't deal with an enemy that you can't even recognize, right? So here's our lineup. First up, you've got sensual desire. That's that magnetic pull to check your phone when you know you should be working. Then there's ill will. That's the anger and resentment that just simmers after a tense conversation. Oh, and we've all met sloth and torpor, right? That heavy, I just can't feeling that hits you in the afternoon. Next is restlessness and worry. You know, the mental hamster wheel that just won't stop spinning. And finally, there's doubt. That little voice that whispers, you're gonna fail, and just stops you dead in your tracks. Okay, now here's where it gets really, really interesting. How do we actually deal with these things? The ancient wisdom here is surprisingly practical. It's not about punching them in the face or fighting them head on. The key is to think of them like plants in a garden. You don't get rid of weeds by just yelling at them, right? No, you have to understand what feeds them, what nourishes them, and then you just cut off their food supply. And once you do that, they just wither away on their own. There's this one ancient text, the Ahara Sutta, and Ahara literally means food, that lays this out with a brilliant analogy. It says, whatever you give your attention to, you are feeding. So when you sit there and dwell on how angry you are literally nourishing that anger. The alternative is to denourish it, to starve it of your attention, and then actively apply an antidote. And this slide, this is basically your entire toolkit. Let's just walk through one. Take a look at ill will. The text says it's nourished by the sign of resistance. That's when you're just fighting reality, wishing things were different. So what's the antidote? It's loving kindness, or metta. Instead of feeding that resistance, you actively cultivate a sense of compassion, which literally shifts your brain out of a threat response. And it's the same for each one. Look at sloth and torpor, it's fed by boredom. So the antidote isn't just try harder, it's to strategically arouse energy. Literally, get up, change your posture, find a new angle on your work. This isn't just some nice philosophy, it's a practical operating manual for your mind. All right, for our last section, let's bring this right down to earth. Because this whole framework, it's not just for people who meditate for hours a day. It has profound real-world consequences for our actual, messy, everyday lives. And the source material doesn't mince words on this point. Your inner world creates your outer world. The ability to manage these hindrances isn't just a nice little self-help skill. It's presented as a fundamental key to achieving success out there in the world. How? Well, it's by directly impacting our ability to get the four things that, according to these ancient texts, pretty much everyone on the planet is striving for. And what are those four things? Sustainable wealth, a good reputation, a long and healthy life, and what the texts call a good destination or a positive future. I mean, those are pretty universal goals, wouldn't you say? So what's the connection? How can these internal mental states possibly block us from achieving these very external goals? Let's make it super concrete. What's the direct line that connects a feeling of restlessness to the actual numbers in your bank account, or that feeling of sloth to what people are saying about you when you leave the room? The source lays out a simple and kind of brutal chain of failure. Step 1. You get overcome by a hindrance. Let's say it's sloth. You feel lazy, totally unmotivated. Step 2. Because of that feeling, you neglect your duties. You put off that important project.
Step 3, you suffer the consequences. Your wealth, your reputation, your success, they all take a direct hit. It's a clear formula. The inner state directly causes the outer result.
And that really brings us to the most crucial takeaway of all of this. Taming these hindrances. It isn't just some abstract spiritual exercise. It's one of the most pragmatic, down-to-earth strategies you can possibly use to build a successful life. By learning how to de-nourish these mental weeds, you are literally clearing the path to your own goals. So we'll leave you with this question to take with you. You've just met the 5 main obstacles. You have the toolkit to start starving them of their power. So looking at your own life right now, which hindrance will you start working with today?